Well, as we all know, 2023 was definitely not a stellar year for air travel, and with Air Canada ranking last for on-time performance, is this a sign of more turbulence, get it, to come in 2024? Happy to be joined by our aviation expert, John Gradek. He's a lecturer at McGill University's Global Aviation Leadership Program. Happy New Year, John.
Happy New Year, David. Nice to be here with you.
Great to have you on. So, how do airlines really care anymore about these rankings? Does it mean something for the brass at Air Canada to be ranked last?
No, doesn't mean much.
That's what I figured.
Anything north of the 49th parallel, is something that when you look at the impact of competition. Competition typically pressures you to excel, and
right?
To get something to be.
That's capitalism, usually.
That's what it's all about. And unfortunately, in Canada, and it's something that in hindsight, when we looked at the evolution of the Canadian commercial airspace, we've got Air Canada that basically had got the benefit of a bunch of acquisitions back in early 2000 with Canadian Airlines and with World Air and everybody else. So Air Canada kind of absorbed all of the potential competitors that are out there. WestJet tried for a while to be the major competitor.
Mm.
They bailed out of Eastern Canada. They're concentrating on Western Canada. So Air Canada as an entity, whether it's domestic or whether it's international, is considering itself the 900-pound gorilla in the room. And whatever they decide to do, that's the way the market's going to behave. So, and Canadians have somehow become complacent. In really looking at, demanding a level of customer service, whether it's waiting on the phone for hours to get served by a human being, or 140,000 flights were late last year, and nobody seems to worry about it. And the executive team at Air Canada is saying, well, there's no need for us to try to compete with Delta at 85%. We're happy at 70% or 65%. So, there's no competitive impetus out there to get Air Canada to kind of improve the way it's presenting itself in the marketplace. Sounds
like how we used to criticize the Soviet Union. Remember?
Yeah, I keep asking myself, so what's the solution?
Right.
I think I've come to the conclusion, and I'm going to be a heretic because I'm one of the guys that was part of the process to get Air Canada where it's at now, is that I think it's time we bring in some international competitors in domestic services.
Open it up a bit, yeah.
Open it up. Yeah. I think that having Delta fly from Montreal to Vancouver or Toronto to Calgary or American Airlines, or British Airways or Qatar Airways, really that would shake up the way in which Air Canada is presenting itself in the marketplace. And would, in fact, put some pressure, commercial pressure, some operating pressure on Air Canada to kind of behave a little differently.
We should definitely ask that of our federal government in 2024. Let's move on to Air Transat. I bumped into somebody today in the elevator who told me she was planning to get on an Air Transat flight this weekend, and she was afraid because it was a vacation, and there could be a strike from the flight attendants?
No, not for the next little while. I think
okay.
That's taken care of. I think that they have a current mandate that basically had a window in which they could strike, and that window was from the 3rd to the 23rd of January.
Mm-hmm.
But that's we're now at the 4th, and they're opening up negotiations one more time. Later tomorrow or early next week, and that's going to take a couple of weeks to work its way through it. I think the union's going to be looking to call a new strike vote sometime towards the end of January, beginning of February, which will probably be March or April before we see anything happen. But I don't think either side wants to have a strike. I think this is part of the negotiation process, and I think Air Transat will probably get a better offer out there. What I'm really surprised at is 98% of the membership rejected the tentative agreement, which to me is just an unheard of number. They must not have any faith in their union negotiating committee for them to turn away that offer at 98%.
That is very interesting. That's like disavowing your negotiating team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that negotiating team from CUPE is not going to be the same one that's going to be representing the union this time around. So, it could be some shakeup there as well.
Well, we just hope that that won't happen with the education sector. Imagine if the members reject the tentative agreement. Oh, no, my goodness.
Let's not even go there.
No, let's not. So I know we don't have all the facts. There's going to be months of investigations, but beginning the year with that horrific accident in Tokyo where 2 jets collided on a runway, killing 6. When you see something like that, and I know, again, it's an unfair question because we don't have the whole story, but how does an aviation expert react when he sees something like that at this juncture in the aviation industry?
I think we've got so much technology and so many advances that have been made in commercial aviation over the last decades that, to me, this is, there's human error involved somehow, some way in this exercise, and I'm not sure where it is. And whether it's air traffic control or whether it's the crews. I think that, the statements being made today by Japan Airlines saying that they had full authority by the air traffic control to occupy that runway on landing, and the Coast Guard airplane happened to be in the way. You have your own conclusion that you come to in terms of what was that Coast Guard airplane doing there. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind from this accident is that we're all going to learn from this accident. If there's one takeaway from this one is I'd like to really commend the Japanese Airlines flight attendants for them to evacuate 367 passengers in 90 seconds on an airplane that's on fire.
Right.
That is absolutely amazing. The behavior of the passengers and the videos we've seen on board that airplane, nobody was yelling and screaming and panicking. Nobody was looking for their bags. Nobody was going to the overhead bins to get their bags out. Right. Everybody orderly on the airplane and off the airplane in 90 seconds, and that is one for the books. We're going to be teaching that one in our classrooms for decades in terms of how to go about doing the right evacuation.
Great angle to end on. John, always a pleasure. Appreciate your insights so much. Have a great 2024.
David, it's been a pleasure. Have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. John Gradek, lecturer at McGill University's Global Aviation Leadership Program.